Persona 5, my old friend, my ancient enemy. Alright, as you can probably guess by the title, this is not really a playthrough. I mean, it is and it isn't. Longtime viewers of the channel may know that I have been learning Japanese for quite a while now, and this is kind of just an excuse to do a lot of language study. However, I am also going to be passing the savings on to you. Yep, you can get a pretty good idea of what the deal with this is right now. That is the official English translation. This is the Japanese version of the game. Bingo bango, you understand what I'm doing here. So, I have also, however, like I said, you can play along at home here too. There is a transcript of the Japanese version and then the Japanese version with the English version underneath it in the description. So, if you are a prospective learner of Japanese like I am, I don't know, maybe you can get some use out of it. Play it like a bingo card or something. Go through the Japanese script, test it out, and then compare it to what's going on in the video here. Or the Japanese plus English version, too. I don't know. And if I had any idea if I knew what I was doing here in any way, I wouldn't have waited so long to put out this video, let's just say that right now. All I know is that this is a resource that I would really like using if I wasn't making it myself. Alright, so aside from that, I'm not going to harp too much on the whole weirdo Japanese thing. Just kind of think of that as background element, at least for this first episode. Who knows what the future will bring? Aside from that, this is just going to be an otherwise normal playthrough of Persona 5. Don't worry about it. Just don't worry about everything else happening in the background if you're not really all that interested in it. So, let's get right on to the game. I honestly do not know if Japan has... Does Japan have, like, huge casinos like this? I know pachinko and everything is a really huge thing there, but do they have gigantic Las Vegas-style ones like this? I don't know. It's weird. I mean, compared to the... Oh, I should probably say this right up front here. I'm going to be playing probably pretty fast and loose with spoilers or, well, plot points, elements, whatever, of Persona 3 and 4, and maybe even some of the other Megaten series, you know, for comparison, contrast. So be prepared for that. I mean, ultimately, I know for me, like, minor spoiler stuff probably wouldn't bother me, but, you know, just letting you know that ahead of time. So anyway, yeah, compared to Persona 4, you actually get a little bit more gameplay. Comparatively, yeah, I guess that's really the word to use. A little bit of in media res. You kind of get an idea of what it's actually going to be like going through dungeons and all that sort of stuff. I don't really remember Persona 3 all that well, but I think Persona 4... At best, all you got was a bit of a single battle and then a little bit of a trek through the final dungeon of the game. Let me see if I can remember the name correctly. Yomotsu Hirasaka? Ugh. You know, this is post-commentary. I can just look it up right now, too. But anyway, I suppose in some way it's kind of nice. In other ways, it's kind of... that was me turning on subtitles. I'm sure you can probably appreciate that as much as I can. Here, let me take a look. Persona Yomotsu. Hey, I actually got it correct. Cool. Anyway, a little bit of introduction to the mechanics. A lot of dialogue. Oh boy, I mean, this is a Persona game. There's going to be a lot of front-loaded exposition, let's say that. Probably get into it a little bit later. But yeah, you got action, and then here you got the introduction to the first sort of... Well, the first kind of introduction to battle. Persona games, as per usual, all turn-based, and if I'm being honest, that is kind of one of the things I like most about it. Pretty rare that you get a fairly, well, maybe not high budget, but decently budgeted 3D turn-based RPG these days. And especially, and this is another thing that is kind of interesting, a return of demons in the series. You haven't seen that since Persona 1 or Sin and Punishment. No, they all used to be kind of black blobs with masks, sort of like... Okay, you know what? I am gonna go for spoilers for even the earlier series. Sort of like Nyarlathotep in Persona 1, I think was kind of the inspiration for a lot of the sort of trash shadows you were fighting before. But now we got proper, actual Mega 10 demons making their return here. It's weird because I like the whole masked black blob thing. It sort of worked with the minor shadows of humanity that they were going for with the whole Jungian psychology thing. Literal personas of the unconsciousness of mankind made manifest. Physical in their unknownness. I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, but at the same time, too, this also does mean that there are some actual higher res models for other Mega 10 series to use, so I can appreciate that alone. I don't know. Another thing here, compared to the other Persona games, is that apparently this is taking place in the real world now? In Persona 3, you had literally an entire hour separate from reality, almost. Then that was the only place that you were using your Persona superpowers. And in Persona 4, it was all about a separate reality, even though it didn't take place out of the real world. You still have to spend real world time going into it. Here, this just appears to be the real world. An interesting sort of change up. The idea that, yeah, you're just basically straight up becoming a superhero at this point. Stealth in a Persona game. I guess I can kind of understand it. One of the big problems with, like, Persona 3 and Persona 4 is that you had the randomly generated dungeons, but you kind of got used to it after a while, and you'd sort of sprint through just whacking on enemies. Maybe the stealth is going to be something interesting. I don't know. I'm only like 3 hours or so into the game at this point, so I have absolutely no idea what the actual game is like. I'm still firmly in exposition land. As silly as that is. Yeah, another big comparison is that, in the previous games you were playing detective, you were playing detective, you were playing kind of special agent sort of thing. Now you're doing thievery stuff, which is kind of weird. Against very generic Men in Black type characters. I don't know. I mean, you can definitely see that there is a raising of stakes as far as... also, what is this? The church part of the casino? Why is there a stained glass window here? I guess thematically it kind of makes sense. Whatever. If you have guns, you should actually be using them. Just a point of advice. Yeah, but you can already see in these games, in Persona 5 here, that there is definitely a raising of stakes and a lot more bombast at the start. Though that could be because they have a lot more budget here, too. I'm interested in seeing how that plays out, if it's going to be pretty much the same Persona that I know and love, or if they actually are really trying to ratchet up the drama. Something like this, pretty dramatic. Also, I'll say this, maybe the first time in fiction that police have actually been fairly effective. We're, dealing with some sort of crazy supernatural threat that seems to be able to summon stands here. Let's bring in not only the entire police force, but the entire police force from the next 3 prefectures over. So, I mean, of course they're going for the main character here, but you know what? At least they're learning. At least you're learning how to deal with these kind of threats. Yeah, this feels kind of soon to learn about this particular plot point. I mean, it's something that's appeared in other Persona games, certainly. Persona 3, one of the major cruxes of the plot was, finding out halfway through that you were getting screwed over by someone you were supposed to be able to trust. Hell, that same thing with Persona 4. Kind of. If you play the Golden, maybe it's a little bit more obvious, but I guess, hey, it's the same writers and everything, so you're going to be getting a few of the same plot points as well. Japan police are hardcore, like, damn. Now, I suppose, you know, special circumstances call for special Jack Bauer-esque tactics here. I can hardly blame him. That's gotta come up. The whole stealth thing, that has to... Like not being able to do your magic nonsense ridiculousness in front of cameras has gotta be a thing. Yeah, just as an aside for the whole Japanese thing, it's not entirely perfect. Some stuff with choices because of how I'm doing it. Don't worry about it. It's like 99% good. Now that's pretty hardcore. I'm going to assume that they didn't actually kill anyone and that somebody else got killed and they're getting blamed for it. Because I gotta say, it's like, this... Unless Persona is taking a huge turn that I have never... that I would have never guessed here, I really doubt that we're going for shades of gray. Nah, it's usually a good versus evil story in each one of these. Can't imagine they're changing that up now. Well, I'm gonna be doing a hard time. I'm going for hard. Why not? I honestly thought about doing like easy or even safety because, hey, you know, story-focused game and everything, but... Persona games. I love Persona games. I think they're great and everything. I would be lying if I didn't say that, again, one of the few big console games with a decent budget that actually has a... that still has turn-based dungeon crawling in it. I love myself some dungeon crawling. They got a great press turn system variant on that here. They got Persona crafting, which is super fun, and the whole like switching out personae for different uses, different circumstances. It's all a lot of great stuff here. And also, you know, there's a whole visual novel aspect and big story and, you know, fun themes and everything too. But, you know, dungeon crawling. Yeah, aren't I clever? Aren't I the most clever boy around? Don't worry about it. Snow Crash reference? Maybe a little bit. Again, don't worry about it. Name your character doesn't matter. I mean, the dude's basically just a... in every one of these games, the dude is basically just a mannequin wearing a t-shirt that has hero on it. Character portrait. This girl's important. Nijima. So, it's not like you've never had any sort of friends with the police before. I'm assuming that that's who she's supposed to be in this circumstance. Essentially, in Persona 3, you had the dude that sold you the guns, as well as, I guess, I don't know, one of your characters had some sort of ties with... No, wait, I don't think so. I'm trying to remember now. God, it's been way too long since I played Persona 3. I'm trying to even remember specific stuff that happened in that game, aside from major plot points. Because I got that game when it came out, like 2007, 2006, I don't even remember. PS2 vanilla version, that's the only one I played. Not even like FES or the PSP version. So it's been a little while. But yeah, then obviously in Persona 4 you had Naoto, and I guess Nijima here is supposed to be the sort of equivalent to that. Duty focused, good at her job, but you know, the whole idea that this is going to be a Rage Against the Machine sort of game says, is she going to compromise her morals? Is she going to help you out despite that? I don't know. It's one of those things where you're just going to have to see how the story unfolds, because I honestly have no idea. I have been spoiled on a few things with this game because I'm on the internet. Hey, but like anything aside from a couple major plot twists, I don't really know too much about. I mean, I would guess that in all likelihood she's going to be... You're going to go with like a total super simplistic Justice Arcana? Why not? I mean, character portrait generally says important character, so... I don't know. Methods are unknown. Might have something to do with summoning a ghost. Through usage of, I'm assuming, a mask or whatever? I remember when I first learned about Persona 3, and it was after I played Digital Devil Saga 1 and 2. I'm not going to say I'm any sort of OG in the series, but hey, I did know about it before other people. Take that, everybody. They didn't clean up their needles. You know, you're not supposed to leave those lying around. But yeah, learning about, like, hey, it's a bunch of Japanese teenagers who shoot themselves in the head to summon ghosts. And I'm like, yeah, okay. If there's more... I've been getting into the Megami Tensei series. If there's more of that, I'm down. Prior history. Of course, it's clearly, you know, happening far after. Far after the beginning of the game, so... In media res and all that. Yeah, it's like, I wouldn't say manslaughter as a prank. Gotcha, bro, now you're dead. Of course you couldn't. It's just straight up magic. Actually, have you heard of a dude named Carl Jung? Jungian psychology. Or have you ever heard the Billy Joel song, The Stranger? Or listen to that entire album. It's a pretty fantastic album. I think you would really gain a lot of understanding about wearing masks, some being silk, some being leather. Aw, Najima, that's so sweet for you to say. I mean, I'm also going to assume that they're probably not literally stealing people's hearts. I mean, I don't know. I'm not that far into the game yet. Maybe we're going full Zelda. I'd be down with that. Hey, we got the butterfly. Classic symbolism, usually supposed to be representative, at least in Persona 3, 4, 5, of being, what, Philemon? Not entirely sure how to pronounce that dude's name. Which I think was Carl Jung's animus. He was also a major character in the first couple games, kind of being the ultimate force of good against Nyarlathotep's ultimate force of evil. Yeah, but who gets a lot more symbolism appearing later in the game? Yellow eyes of all the shadows. A lot of the shadows, you know, the whole black blob with the masks on. That's all Nyarlathotep, man. Philemon just gets a butterfly that appears occasionally. Hey, who knows? I mean, maybe he'll appear in this game. I don't know. Dreaming of a butterfly, or a butterfly dreaming they were human. Frankly, I just say, you live your life the best you can with the information you have at hand. You think you're a butterfly, live your life as a butterfly. Fly, butterfly. Alright, that's enough of that. I think that was a save screen or whatever, which is great because I don't get another one for 40 minutes. So thanks for making sure that I absolutely could not space these episodes out to be about a half hour long or so. Man, in general, I would say Persona games maybe don't have the best pacing in general, but like doubly, triply so at the beginning. And I said I'm several hours into the game, still pretty firmly in a lot of exposition territory. And when I say like maybe not great pacing, it's a lot of repetition and a lot of like kind of unimportant details. Like for example, that cutscene right there. That kind of explained, okay, why you in predicament? Why you being all like a criminally type guy? It's like, presumably, again, not a very... Persona games, I would not assume that you would start the game as being a particularly criminally type character. So you got like a little explanation, that flashback there. But then what happens is that pretty quickly in the story here, a character just straight up explains to you exactly what happened in that cutscene, and then you play an extended version of that cutscene here, and that's the sort of reason why it takes 3 hours to get through the exposition of a Persona game. Ah, well. Man, see, this just makes me want to play The World Ends With You again. What a good game that is. I think they're going to have like a sequel or something coming out soon. It's like 15 years after the original one came out, so I guess we'll have to see if that's any good. Also, man, cell phone technology these days, am I right? I mean, anybody that's played a previous Persona game knew exactly what the deal with that was. Yellow eyes means that's the shadow archetype. I do enjoy, even though your character generally doesn't have too much agency, you know, being a silent protagonist type, he still is just like, whatever. It's probably fine. Yeah, no, you ain't getting translations for that one. Plenty of people have said that before, but damn, this UI has a lot of panache. Playing Five Finger Fillet with the tutorial screens is kind of amazing. I mean, overall, one of the things I really like about the Persona games is that usually when you think of sort of RPG, Japanese, or even Western type, you're thinking of like a kind of Dungeons and Dragons sort of medieval pastiche. It's like this is taking place in modern day Japan. Huge emphasis on tarot cards and Jungian psychology. It's like that is a potent combination. I mean, what you know, an old Italian card game used for divination has to do with psychology. If anything, I would kind of say they're maybe a little opposed to each other. Telling the future and trying to understand the inner workings of somebody's mind are, I don't know, the scientific and the pseudoscientific. But whatever, it works. Even though it's kind of been reduced these days to a lot of just the major arcana stuff. You're no longer getting the Four of Cups or whatever as it appeared back in Persona 3. Disappointing, but what are you gonna do? Point is, it's neat. Astute observation. Yeah, no, I think that specifically this is another one of those things where, like, along with repetitive stuff happening in the beginning, there's like, this is entirely unnecessary. Okay, you know, we had the big in media res scene, whatever, and then the first thing you're told is, hey, go to this dude's house, and then you're told, oh wait, he's not at this house, go somewhere else. What's even the point of this? Just send me directly to the cafe then. Why bother with the whole rigmarole if it's just, man. Yeah, I always kind of have a problem with the start of Persona games here. I mean, you know, of the two other ones that I say would sort of fit this miniseries. Allegedly, this is Persona 5. Really, it's Persona 3, because from Persona 3, 4, 5, I would almost consider them a different spin-off, even though they do share a lot of stuff with the first couple games. They also don't share a lot of stuff. They're more thematically similar to each other. And Persona 4 especially, I got that game when it first came out, PS2 version vanilla. I have also played the Golden, I actually got a PS TV just for that and all that, blah blah blah. But it took me like a month to like grind my way through that exposition, and then I finished the right game in like 3 days. But oh man, the exposition in Persona 4 was intense. I mean, it was like you're going camping. You were staying in tents. Hey! I don't know. Oh. Only Sakura. Curmudgeon-y old man, taking in troubled kids, getting paid, jaded, downbeaten by the world, but still has a heart of gold. Frankly, I identify more with this character than I would identify with the old hero protagonist over here any day of the week. Frankly, what I'm saying is, why am I not playing as, Sakura? He is clearly the superior character, rather than blandy McTeenager over here. Alright, you know, there's getting worried about stuff, and then there's, like... Come on. I'll be more worried about the mental shutdown thing happening. Although apparently it's not common in humans, as we saw that one girl say. You know, it's more common in, like, cats. Oh, man. Ah, he's so curmudgeon-y, I love him. Also basically has my hairline at this point, too. Grows better facial hair, though, which... Am I jealous? Maybe a little bit. Oh, why didn't I put a text box for him saying, huh? It's always 1 year, every single time. Never get away from that one. You know, I gotta say, every single time in these games, it's a very Carl Banksian sort of situation where you have parents, presumably you didn't just sprout out of the soil, but you don't really get to see them or hang out with them or anything. You got great uncle-nephew relationship, hence the Carl Banksian, or, you know, surrogate dad in the case of Sejiro here, but, like, how come you never get to hang out with your parents? It's like, well, what is this Disney shenanigans going on here? Never got that. I mean, I guess I'll say this, it's bigger than any apartment I've ever lived in. So all I gotta do is commit a crime in Japan, and I can live in some dude's really schwanky loft above a cafe. I'll take it. Yep, this is what I was talking about, where it's like, I mean, we saw the cutscene before, but, well, here it is again in plain text. Ah, well. You know, the upper room here, it's like, this is a usual sort of thing, the Persona games too. Yeah, I can see like a desk, which I'm assuming is going to be used for studying later. Obviously, you got the little futon, which you're going to be sleeping on. Big box in the middle of the room for all your box needs. It's like, I'm assuming right now that this game is going to have the same sort of building stats in your off time, and then you get to keep that into New Game Plus, which will open up some new conversational topics, which doesn't actually change anything, but, you know, it opens them up. Ah, well. Talk about anything unnecessary. Yep. Simple enough. All I gotta do is not screw up for one. Oh, wait, we already figured out that that doesn't exactly go correctly in the prologue. Alright then. That's fine. Yes, that's what that would imply. Currently 4-9. Currently 4 out of 9. Hey, Japanese puns. Shujin in Japanese means criminal. Like prisoner, literally. But, you know, it's also the name of the academy. Ah, you get it, right? The subtlety is not intense. Let's just go with that. I kind of find it interesting that they didn't change that up for the English version, calling it, like, I don't know, the Big House Academy or something. Yeah, you're going to the Big House. Shujin Academy. That's what it's known as, and that's what we're all going to be calling it. So yeah, this is the point in time where you can walk around and do nothing, or interact with the box and just continue the story. Oh, don't worry, this is gonna be like the first 3 episodes are gonna be all this. I don't know if there's actually, you know, if you actually get anything for looking at each one of these individual objects, or if it even matters when you decide to start cleaning up or anything. Like, you just get descriptions of stuff. It doesn't really seem to make any difference. I don't know. Either way, like, the bed is the bed, the table is the table, etc. and so on, so there's not too much to be said about that. At least you're getting sheets. Yeah, you just look at a few... you don't really even get the chance to look at everything. Well, I mean, you do if you want the chance. I don't really think that's entirely necessary. Meeting with the various guys at the academy. An old Big House U coming up. I mean, do you think they're all going to chastise you for being a dirty, filthy criminal? Oh, you know it. Again, you got a whole theme of rage against the machine here. And even characters that are kind of supposed to be sympathetic to you are not particularly sympathetic to you. And it's for something that was, you know, well, it was definitely your fault, but at the same time, it's also not... Like, I'm not saying that they had to make the main character do something truly heinous, but come on. Come on, Persona writing team. I should actually, like, figure out who was the head writer or something so I can have my, you know, throw fist at the sky and shake it while shouting their name, sort of dealio setup. But at the same time, I suppose, you know, again, not supposed to be a very... We're not playing with shades of gray here. It's a simple story, but it's an enjoyable story. Good versus evil. Love conquering all that sort of stuff. I mean, certainly that's how it's been in the past games. Although Persona 3 did kind of have a streak of darkness, especially near the end of it. It was it wasn't really wrapped up nearly as nicely and cleanly as Persona 4 was. And it makes me wonder if, you know, the whole sort of more dire circumstances, at least in a little bit, they might be going for that here. At least for the moment. Yep, still can't save whenever you want. Well, at least now you have a futon and a couch here. The 2 most important things that you could possibly have in a loft like this. There's a flashback again. And yeah, your sense of justice was too much. And now you have to play that entire scene. At least at this point in time, I actually got a little bit of the extra floating around dialogue there. I do like the crazy smoke vignetting. That's neat. Yeah, it's just too much. It's so obvious. I mean, look at these choices. It's ridiculous. It's like bordering on farcical. I know, overall that is a... You get that a lot in these games where it only really matters until you're... It doesn't really matter in the main story unless there's, you know, a very pivotal moment, especially the one in Persona 4, you know the one I'm talking about. And other than that, it's really only in the actual social links themselves where it truly matters. You know, I suppose you probably could have just waited to defuse the try to defuse the situation at least until the cops arrive, because you can hear them right there. Also, subtlety? Nah. This dude is rotten to the core. I mean, you can tell that because he's bald, right? Generally the easiest way to be able to understand it. Especially because he wears sunglasses at night, so he can keep track of the visions in his eyes. You ain't getting out of adventure that easy. At least not just yet. Maybe soon enough, though. I mean, let's just... Yeah, they're saying this is not Paper Mario, where you can refuse to go on an adventure enough times and it just stops. Yes. I mean, obviously the Velvet Room is going to play a scene in this. It's going to play a huge part in the storyline. That was apparently who was kind of saving you from... I mean, it was playing the Velvet Room theme in the background when you had the butterfly going across the screen. So what's it this time? I mean, the first couple games had it pretty consistent, where you had the singer, I think she was called the Belladonna, and the Nameless, who played the piano. Then Igor with his crazy bone cell phone. Boy, the first couple games were something to behold. Then again, this is also something to behold, to be fair. Symbolism. Usually the warden's office doesn't sit like immediately in the center of all the prisoners. So we got Igor back, and I think he has a different voice actor. I remember in Persona 4 he had more of a, like, I'm an old man sort of voice. A lot deeper this time. I think that may be because the voice actor that he had for Persona 3 and 4 may have died, which that's unfortunate. It's weird that they went in a completely different direction, though. That said, I think it fits the character. I mean, you know, he is like a... God, what is his official backstory? He's supposed to be a doll that was brought to life that is working for Philemon, in order to try to become more human, so... Can basically look like whatever he wants, and just chooses to be this insane-looking big-nosed man. It's like, oh, you'd spell it out for me here. You got to be kidding me. To be honest, I gotta say, there is always a sort of, you know, save the world plotline in association with every one of these games. But, I don't know. I don't know. I don't feel like it's always completely necessary. Like, you have your own... In Persona 4, for example, you're solving the mystery. You brought together the Scooby Gang, you did all the detective work and whatever, and you got the dude arrested. You didn't really need to, like... And if you didn't get that dude arrested, you would have all died. You and the entire world. Forever. And it seems like the whole mental shutdown deal. Oh, by the way, did you name the characters Caring and Just? Yeah, sure, okay. Jeez. But anyway, yeah, I suppose like the whole mental shutdown thing is supposed to be analogous to the what is it, lethargy syndrome or whatever it was called in Persona 3, where where you couldn't ignore the shadow threat because that was happening in the background, and that would have ended up with everybody dying. Of course, that Nyx came around and was going to kill everything too, but there was problems even aside, and then there was a whole cult thing near the end as well. And I'm betting that that's going to be pretty similar to this. And then you had Shadow Inaba and everything in Persona 4. Not quite the same thing. This seems to be something that affects people on a more personal level, whereas that was just going to be a sudden, like, apocalyptic event that just kind of came out here. Which, who knows? There's still plenty of time in the game to learn about that. Also, that is one sweet hat. I've said before, I'll say again, if you want me to like a character, give them a cool hat and or headgear. And Persona 5 is delivering on all fronts. That is headgear, and it is cool. Again, why can we not play as Sakura? He is clearly... He's also ladies' man. Totally ballin'. Alright, maybe I don't identify as much as being a ladies' man, but whatever. Everything else seems to be cool about this guy. Oh, Sakura, you're so tsundere. So yeah, I can say stuff like that since it has clearly been revealed that I am a huge weeb at this point. I mean, surprisingly enough, I'm not actually as much of a weeb as you would think. I don't really watch too much for anime and stuff like that. Why am I learning Japanese? Shut up. I was unemployed and I said I liked the video games, so I want to learn about the video games. Whatever, don't worry about it. Let's just go with that. So yeah, here's where we're talking to a Muppet that somehow snuck in the game. What the hell? It's... I mean, I know that you can have some pretty crazy looking characters here, but usually not, yeah, a Muppet. Let's go with that. Or I guess he kind of looks like the Kingpin from the old 90s Spider-Man cartoon. No, even the Kingpin wore a better fitting suit than that. Yeesh. You can tell that either Kawakami here or Nijima from the start there is going to be the waifu of the game. Well, the non-party member waifu, I'm betting. No question on that one. Also, make sure you sign here, otherwise you'll be unable to access iTunes. Yeah, she did not say his name in the Japanese version. You didn't get to know the Muppet guy's name just yet. That's kind of a weird change. He's just the headmaster at the moment. Also, I'm still here, you know. Like this, you're really gonna discuss this in front of me? I mean, I know that, you know, as a criminal, you're kind of being treated like trash, but this is a little ridiculous. Yeah, like, even, I agree with Sojiro here. He's got the right idea. Yeah. It is literally his job. You know, aside from running a cafe. Like, what do you want him to do? What do you want him to tackle me to the ground? Knowing this game, he probably will. And it will be the same conversation that we had before. Yeah, I know. Did you see that? So like, I don't want to take care of him when I'm literally feet away from her. Subhuman garbage. Yeah, that seems to be also kind of a theme of the game. Hence why, again, Rage Against the Machine. Yes. Yes, I get it. They'll figure it out. Move to America. Start a YouTube channel. It's really easy. It's the ellipses on that one. Whatever. If I'm being perfectly honest, I'm not particularly worried about doing all this stuff absolutely perfectly. I'm really expecting that maybe gonna get like single digits, double digits at best eventually on this series, because it's gonna be like 100 parts long, even with all the editing. And I highly doubt anybody cares to watch some dude talk about a game that is largely dialogue and not very many cutscenes, and then turn-based battles on top of that. I mean, I'll probably be cutting out most of those, but still. Also, didn't we all just go through this in the last scene where you literally said this in front of the... Wait, what? Why is it... Wait, why is this scene in here if they just... Nah, whatever. Yeah, volleyball team. I'm betting that we're gonna have him be the chariot. Usually kind of how that goes. And you'll be given the chance to join the volleyball team, and that's gonna be him. Usually the case. Yeah, we know, you and everybody else. Like on Earth. Oh, you saved... I like that you saved that bombshell for now. You sure you didn't want to say that directly in front of me? Oh, my heart rate's getting down. I'm sure that will be a thing in game. Hey, it ain't easy being this cool. Oh, man. Yours was the only one that was open. We had that explained. Yeah. I mean, I'm assuming the train is going to be the normal form of fast travel. It wasn't Persona 3 as well, I think. I mean, not that you actually saw a main character guy getting into it or whatever. But you know. It didn't seem like it was an easy thing to do, to be fair. Nobody's being sympathetic with me for right now, so I think that's kind of par for the course. Nice that you're thinking about my welfare, Sakura. Like, you've done this before, dude. Surely you've... At least it's kind of implied that he's done this before, right? I don't know, maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm just assuming that. And this is probably the most I've identified with the character in this game so far. Gotta work that hustle, y'all. Look, man, you might not like the hustle, but you gotta respect the hustle. I'm gonna guess probably gonna become a theme in this game. And indeed. Or, well, this is probably just footage of the accident that happened itself, right? Dude, this is not time to be practicing your Undertaker impression. You can tell that this guy probably watches a lot of news channels. Big fan of punditry. Also, with the way that he's holding his hands there, I'm gonna guess villainous. Almost assuredly. I mean, again, Rage Against the Machine. Obviously, Najima's there. Seeing her since this is the first introduction since the weird in media res, which, I don't know, the whole non-chronological order of this is throwing me off here. All business, which, sure, whatever. That's fine. Oh, look at this goober. Interesting they're pulling out the boy detective thing again, especially after Naoto appeared. But I don't know, it's a theme. I honestly... Japanese. Japan-specific references that I don't get. That is a hell of a traffic jam. Yeah, it's apparently currently night. That's ridiculous. All right, thanks, Squall. Oh, yes, and yes, I remember now. Well, okay, not that. Not quite sure how this is going to tie with the whole, again, Rage Against the Machine theming. I don't know. I'm sure there's a reason for it, but like, why would people be going crazy because people are abusing their power and authority? I don't know. I guess that'll be something to find out. But yes, the most important thing in the game, the ability to save. Like, come on. Yeah, I could write reports myself, but I'd rather have you do it for me. Again, Sojiro is the best character in the game. Please don't make that face ever again. Which will be nothing, because it's still the start of the game. Like, how... I live here! How would I be able to steal anything and not have you know? Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're free to do whatever you want. Now get to sleep. Right now. So I can plot. I can plot for later, but I'm gonna have to play along for now. Of course, I say that in jest, but it's probably going to become the actual, like, for real what's gonna happen later. Saving. We're finally gonna allow you to do it. Alright, that's episode 1. I have no idea how this is gonna go. I guess we'll see. See you next time for more